Everyone, this is Dr. Michael Collins from the National Institutes of Health, and I'm making this video to pay tribute to Charlie Harles. I've known Charlie for over 20 years now. I knew him initially as a patient with fibrous dysplasia, but eventually I came to know him as a friend and as a partner in the research of fibrous dysplasia. And the first time I met Charlie as a patient, he was dedicated and threw himself into the development and the start of the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. He was really dedicated to making sure that the patients and the family with fibrous dysplasia were to get benefit from the research that was being done, to get the best information, to care for themselves and their families. He really was dedicated to this organization. I'm grateful to Charlie for all that he did to support the research here at the NIH and all that he did to help all the families with FD. Charlie had an amazing life. He had a difficult life. He really had his first femur fracture, I think, at about the age of 5. He had a very significant degree of fibrous dysplasia. He was from a fairly early age, somewhat disabled. He used crutches most of his life. Eventually, near the latter part of his life, he had to use a wheelchair to get around, and finally, in the end, he was really somewhat disabled by arthritis that he developed as a result of fibrous dysplasia. And then towards the end of his life, as many of you may know, he developed Lewy body dementia. And it was really very difficult watching Charlie deteriorate. It was very difficult. It was very difficult for his wife, Andrea, who was with him by his side and was an amazing supporter of him and the foundation as well. So I just want to say goodbye to Charlie. I want to thank him for all he did, and thank Andrea as well.
When I think of Charlie, I feel so grateful for the chance he gave us as researchers and physicians to work so meaningfully with the FD-MAS patient community. He was truly a partner and an integral part of the research we do at NIH. We learned so much from Charlie, not just about FD-MAS, but how researchers and patients can work together to build a community. His qualities of partnership extended not just to the FDF, the organization he helped create, but I believe it also had a mark on the greater field of researchers, doctors, patients, and advocates for FD-MAS all over the world. For me, an important part of Charlie's legacy will be for those of us who care about FD-MAS to commit to working together and continuing the beautiful example of partnership that he gave us.
Hi, Charlie. This is Ed Shao from the University of California at San Francisco. I have to say my first memory of meeting you was at the Fibrous Dysplasia Conference in Bethesda. This was when I was just a trainee, just starting out in my own career in research. It was an amazing demonstration to meet you because you really demonstrated the perseverance and vision of what it meant to support patients with fibrous dysplasia. And this is what really inspired me to do what I can for the community, as well as through our research, training trainees, and being interested in rare diseases. And really having that focus to be able to try to make the most impactful differences to our patients. Your presence will be missed, but your spirit will continue to inspire us all. And I am very glad to have had that opportunity to meet you and to be inspired by everything that you've done and what you've done for the community.
Charlie was a man of great strength, passion, and curiosity. But most of all, he was our chief champion advocate for all those who suffer from fibrous dysplasia and McCune-Albright's, like myself. He is the reason we have the Fibrous Dysplasia organization. And for what he did, we will always remember him. And every patient who is diagnosed today and tomorrow, there will always be something in our hearts to remember you. We will miss you terribly, but always remember your compassion and how you led us every single day.
Good morning. My name is Sue Barnacle, and I'm the treasurer of the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. I'd like to take this time to thank Charlie for all of his dedication and lifelong efforts to raise awareness about fibrous dysplasia and to help get research to find a cure. We in the ever-widening Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation owe him a great debt of gratitude. Thank you, Charlie, for all of your efforts. May you rest in peace. You fought the good fight. Thanks.
Honor his legacy and thank him from the bottom of our hearts for starting this wonderful organization that allows us to try and cure this awful disease. Charlie, may you rest in peace, and thank you so much for what you have started. We hope to continue it in your honor the way you would want. Thank you.
Lynn Lindeman here. Let me start out by saying that I consider myself most fortunate and blessed to have encountered Charlie. I knew Charlie almost 15 years, and what 15 years it was. Looking back over that last 15 years, at the snowball he was instrumental in starting. Started out with a handful of people connecting over dial-up modems to bulletin boards, chat rooms, and other online posting sites for self-help and support. Growing that into formal websites, social media, and patient registries. Turning social get-togethers into formal conferences. What may have started out as a misery loves company social support group has germinated a band of warriors that, while staying true to the original tenet of supporting and educating each other, is determined that no one else should suffer the way any of us did. The patient support has led to the development of similar groups and efforts in other countries. His idea and his legacy is metastasizing. It's finding new strength in similar organizations, and likewise strengthening similar groups of people fighting rare disorders. What started out as hosting conferences for patients and families lit the fire in people to fundraise for research. This snowball that he was instrumental in starting is now developing into an organization that's raising, directing, or coordinating hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in grants nationally and worldwide. And its future impact may extend way beyond the bony aspects of fibrous dysplasia. This wonderful movement that he was instrumental in creating will do nothing but help many people for a long time to come. I think he created a truly wonderful legacy, which in the Washington, D.C. area is a miracle in itself. I think as you look back at what transpired this last 15 years, from the support group to the foundation, and what his work has given birth to, I think someone was saying, Charlie, you've done great. Your work here is done. Time to come home.
It's very sad to know that Charlie is no longer with us. I would like to take this opportunity to thank him and his family for all the support that they have extended to us as an organization. As a parent of an affected kid, I can't imagine a world without the effort of what Charles has put in for this organization for such a long time. You'll be missed, Charles. Thank you very much, and may your soul rest in peace.
My favorite memory of Charlie is the first time I met him in 2014 at the Patient Family Conference in New York. We had been speaking on the phone for at least a year, planning, and that first sight of him and the hug and smile I received will just live on in my memory and be imprinted in my brain forever. He has affected my life, the life of my daughter, and the lives of everyone in this community. His legacy is this foundation and the mission that I have and everyone else has to find better treatments and a cure for this disease. I will miss you terribly, Charlie, and I promise you we will keep your legacy on forever.
From Joyce and I, we'd just like to say a huge thank you for all the work that Charlie has done for the FD Foundation over many years. It's fair to say without his efforts and work, the FD Foundation would not be where it is today. Once again, thanks, Charlie.
And it was Mike Collins and I that first set up the studies on fibrous dysplasia of bone and the McCune-Albright syndrome here at NIH in 1998. And Charlie was lovingly known as NIH FD20. He was the 20th patient that enrolled in our clinical protocols. And ever since his enrollment, he was a stalwart advocate for the work that was being done here at NIH and was always working towards getting more funding for the type of research and studies that we do here. When Charlie was interviewed in 2004 for a brochure that was celebrating the inauguration of the Marco Hatfield Clinical Research Center, he was quoted as saying, "Whatever we are going to find out will help the children." And this really, to me, exemplified Charlie's real thrust for the future, that he was always thinking about the children and knowing that the studies would not necessarily benefit him. He was always hopeful that we would find an eventual cure for this disease. So my heart goes out to Charlie's family and to his extended family, all of the patients whose lives he touched over the years. And we hope that we can continue to work with the group to really come up with what Charlie dreamed of, which is a cure for this disease.
My first memory of Charlie is about 1999, when several of us with fibrous dysplasia met at the Union Station for lunch. I sat across from Charlie and Andrea, and they invited me to spend the weekend at their house. After that, for the next 20 years, every trip I made to the NIH, I planned extra days to stay with them. They showed me around Washington, D.C. We ate great food. We would sit and talk for hours and hours, laugh about our cats, and they even took me to their place in Maine. Charlie taught me about courage, and he taught me about independence. Charlie was one of the most independent people I've known, and he took on each day with so much courage. Charlie, I will forever miss you, and I'll always remember how we ended every phone call. Love you.
A year before I was born, something amazing happened. A man named Charles changed my life forever. He created a foundation that gave everyone hope and light. Me, my mom, my family, my brother. We just want to commemorate his ability to do so, and his time on this earth was greatly appreciated. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Even though we never met, I feel like I've known you a long time, and now you're an angel looking down upon us, and may you rest in peace.
Thank you.
God bless.
I first met Charlie 20 years ago on the FD Support online email group. 5 years later, we met face-to-face in New York at the first FD conference. My favorite memory with Charlie was in 2012. I was vacationing in the DC area, and Charlie, Andrea, and I spent the day exploring the Udvar-Hazy National Air and Space Museum, where we took this great symbolic photo of me, the Canadian, next to the Canada arm, and Charlie, the American, next to the Space Shuttle Discovery. It was such a great day. Afterwards, Charlie was excited to take me to a local craft brewery in Falls Church, Virginia. and I was so excited when I saw the sign, Dogfish Head Ale House, because anything with the dog gets me excited. But unfortunately it was closed due to a massive power outage caused by a severe thunderstorm and twister that had hit the DC and Virginia region just days earlier. A few years later, we met up again in New York City at another FD conference in 2015. After the conference, we went back to Charlie's hotel, where right next to the hotel was the Barking Dog Pub. Yet again, anything with dogs, my man Charlie is going to find the place for me. Both Charlie and Andrea were such warm, generous souls, and Charlie will be dearly missed. All my love to Andrea and their family. And may my dear friend Charlie, may you rest in peace. Much love, Petra.
Hi, my name's Adrienne McBride. I'm the Executive Director for the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. I never knew Charlie Harles, though I feel like I know him through his wonderful reputation. I'm tasked with carrying on his legacy, and I promise to do that. I promise to work as hard as I possibly can to continue Charlie's work in finding treatments and cures for the fibrous dysplasia McCune-Albright community.
Just this past spring, we started honoring Charlie through the Charles Harles Award for Excellence in FDMAS Research. And it's an incredible tribute to how much he's really pushed this community forward. But I think beyond what he's done to encourage FDMAS research, he's also been a really important figure in creating community. At the 2017 patient conference, I remember Charlie coming into the room, and the folks in the room who saw him there, it was so meaningful for them, and so many of them knew him, and even though they hadn't seen him for many years, had created such a strong bond, and he created such hope for them by really giving the fight to improve patient lives back to the patients themselves and the patient community. And his legacy for what he wanted this organization to be definitely still lives on, despite the fact that he hasn't been personally involved in the last few years. And I'm honored to have met him and to have spoken to him several times and to continue his work.
I'm Susie Duty. I am the bookkeeper for the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. I joined the foundation about a year ago. I got involved because one of my granddaughter's friends was diagnosed with this terrible disease. I just wanted to personally thank you for everything that you have done to find a cure and to let you know that you are a champion. Thank you for everything.
Like many people, Charlie's made a huge impact on my life. Without Charlie, there would be no Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. There would never have been any of the conferences. There never would have been any of the grants. There never would have been the registry. There never would have been all the things that will come in the future because of the foundation. There would never have been that really important and warm message box that he tended to for years, just diligently, kindly, and patiently answering the questions from hundreds of newly diagnosed families with fibrous dysplasia McCune-Albright syndrome. Charlie, you're an absolute inspiration, a remarkable leader, and I'm really proud to have been part of your story.